Hi, everyone. This is Joe Francica, and welcome to another episode of the All Things Location podcast. And in this episode of the 22 Immutable Laws of Marketing, I'm going to take a page from another of Reese Trout's books called Marketing Warfare. As I mentioned, when I was pursuing my MBA, I was guided toward Reese Trout that published a series of books. And I cop to it right now and say that these books were written in the early 90s, so that's about 30 years ago or so. But I think their advice is as true today as it was back then. And if you take away nothing from this episode, remember this: strategy follows tactics, not the other way around. Tactical victory is the only victory, and too many companies in geospatial get this wrong. Reese Trout, in their book Marketing Warfare, take heed from Karl von Clausewitz, the great Prussian general. And to that end, that is also a takeaway. Marketing is warfare. And as Reese Trout state, the objective is not to do or die for your company, it's to make the other guy die for their company. Let me quote from the book. If a given strategy doesn't contribute to the tactical results, then the given strategy is faulty. Strategy should evolve from the mud of the marketplace, not the ivory tower, and certainly not the 3-day offsite swanky hotel for the great executive retreat. Okay, now back to geospatial tactics. A tactic is a singular element of the marketing mix. It could be your unique tagline. It could be that you are dead set to make a singular appearance at a conference in which you will launch a new product. It could be that you are blitzing social media. Tactics don't have to be brilliant, but they must be planned and executed on a regular cadence. What makes a strategy from the tactic is to beat that tactic over and over again until everybody in your company knows that you are driving towards a singular goal. If you're going to make that conference promotion successful, or you are going to polish that webinar script until you can repeat it in your sleep, you are relentlessly focused on driving the tactical success of a singular part of your marketing plan. And most importantly, this tactic develops into an overarching strategy over a time horizon. It does not stop at that singularly focused event. It continues to evolve. Okay, back to geospatial. Here's an example. ICEYE. ICEYE, the synthetic aperture radar company. They didn't create synthetic aperture radar technology. That technology has been around since I was a remote sensing geologist in the 80s working for the USGS. But they put it on a satellite, and they are now known as the SAR company. Yes, there are competitors like Capella, but when I think of SAR satellites, I think of ICEYE. And if you just happen to be astute enough about SAR technology, you know that it can penetrate ice. And I'm sure that wasn't just coincidental. The company not only associated itself with a specific technology, they named their company after a technological advantage. And just to drive the point home more succinctly, they drove their tactical advantage, the technology of SAR, with the name of the company, which also just happens to be their technological advantage. The name was the tactic, and their strategy was to drive home over time their technological advantage in synthetic aperture radar. And they did that with their name. So whether it was their ice-penetrating radar solution or simply to employ SAR in other industries like insurance, which they are doing. Okay, that's all for today. Thanks for watching. And remember, knowing where is knowing everything.